Good morning, Miss Gardner. How are you today?
Well, you know, the same. You remember Sammy. He's no better. When we had the SSD meeting on him, you told me to get back to you if things didn't improve. So, well, I'm back.
Sounds discouraging. Let me remember the facts. He's in fourth grade, low academically, off task, and a bit hyper. Also remember that we're talking about a contract. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, you remember him. And oh, yeah, the contract. That worked for about a week or so. But I really think he belongs in special education full time. So, why are we wasting time this way? Because the 2 periods of RSP just are not sufficient for him.
Well, I'm so glad you tried the contract. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, as you know, finish some work for a change and you can earn some free time and the usual sort of thing. I guess he didn't know what to do himself once the free time was earned, which was only once, mind you. So he just lost complete interest in the contract. Now, what are you going to do about him?
Well, I'm not sure what we can do. It's kind of up to you, but I can definitely try to help you. But I really need to know more about what's been tried, what the data looks like, and what you'd like to try next.
Well, the data sheets are in my room if you want to see them. They don't really show any change since the 2 weeks that I've been keeping track. If it was up to me, I would like to go back to IEP and get him back in special education because that's what he needs. So should I put in a referral or what?
No, that won't be necessary. We can bring it up the next meeting for another look if you'd like. But listen, have you got 5 minutes right now? Let's take a look at that data and then talk over some ideas about how to help Sammy.
Oh, okay, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Well, what should I do with him?
Let's start with what has been tried and then see if some of those ideas are working and how we can build on what you've already tried with him.
Well, as I've told you before, nothing seems to work. There's nothing I can do about his poor reading because if I stop to help him with every word, then the whole group starts complaining.
Okay, let's stay with that. The poor reading is a real problem, and we'll hope that his 2 periods a day in RSP with me are going to be helpful to him. I'm starting to see progress already, but grade level text is definitely frustrating for him to read. In the meantime, what are some ways you can get around his inability to read grade level text and still ensure he's learning the content?
Well, let's see. I suppose I could find a buddy for him, someone that he doesn't clown with around so much. And I guess the buddy could preview the vocabulary so that the reading is not so difficult for him.
That's a great idea. Think about who your more serious students are. One of them would be a good role model and peer tutor for him. What else have you thought about?
Well, as I mentioned, we did the contract. That was a flop. So, what should I do about it? Maybe you can write one for me. Maybe I just don't know how.
When you're using the contract, what idea did you have about why it wasn't working? Why do you think it flopped?
Well, as I told you, he didn't take advantage of the reinforcer. He just wandered around the room. He bothered a few people and just acted really bored.
So he hasn't learned how to make good use of his free time, even though he earned it. Tell me about the reinforcer. Where did the idea of free time come from? Was this his choice?
No, it's what I always use, and it's what's worked in the past. So I assumed that it was going to be successful for him too.
Well, what do you think of that now about Sam?
Well, I mean, I guess he's the exception. There's one for every rule, right? So what are you going to do about him?
Well, you know Sammy better. What do you think he'd be willing to work for?
I don't know, but I'm not into giving candy because once you start doing that, that's all they want.
Have you ever seen the reinforcement survey some teachers use? It is filled with things that kids actually are willing to work for. You may not find those things in your classroom. They're mainly the things that they get at home or they do with their parents. Do you think it might help to see how Sammy responds to this? Your contract idea might work after all if you're able to get a more specific set of reinforcements.
Well, I mean, I've foreseen it, but I haven't used it. I guess I could give that a try, but before I do, I would just need you to look at the contract and just make it a little jazzier for me.
Well, definitely, I'll be glad to. I'm going to get you the reinforcement survey, and then after you finish the contract, you can bring it up to me and we can talk about it. And I'll put Sammy's name on the SST meeting agenda if you still want me to.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Meanwhile, you'll be getting Sammy a good role model as a study buddy. And what else would you like to try with him before we go to the IEP meeting?
Well, I mean, I guess I can talk to his mom again. I have asked her to help him with his spelling, reading, and writing every night. But I don't think she's been doing a thing about it because his homework doesn't look like anybody's helped him with it.
You might be right, but can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe you can focus on the things that his mom can do. Sometimes parents get so overwhelmed by the many things we ask them to do. What do you think?
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think 20 minutes a night was that overwhelming. But yeah, I can talk to her about it. But I gotta go. See you whenever. Just get me that contract, please.
Okay, thank you very much.